Good evening. My name is Lauren Nielsen, and I'm the Director of International Education and Programs here at Elgin Community College. And I'm pleased to share with you tonight a deep dive into the Student Success Fund evaluation process. Now, the Student Success Fund was established by the Foundation to meet the needs of students who had financial need that may create obstacles in their pursuit of their educational goals. And the aim of the fund is to provide the financial support needed to overcome these obstacles. Typical examples of funding that we have seen over the last several months include tuition and books, living expenses, including utilities and rent payments, access to technology, including Wi-Fi, laptops, and computers, housing assistance, food and groceries, transportation, and childcare. The Student Success Fund started off in early spring as the Emergency Student Relief Fund, or a portion of the Emergency Student Relief Fund. And when the pandemic started in spring of 2020, the Foundation launched the Emergency Student Relief Fund, reached out to the community for donations, and raised over $50,000 to assist our students. Through this fundraising, students submitted applications which were reviewed and evaluated by the Foundation and an evaluation team of ECC administrators. As the ESRF was phased out in summer 2020, student requests for financial assistance were directed to the Student Success Fund. All of these applications are evaluated by a team of ECC administrators to make sure that funding disbursements meet certain protocol. The Student Success Fund evaluation team consists of these individuals: Vinnie Cassio and Mary Grimm, from both wellness professionals; Sean Jensen, Director of Transfer Services; Corsair Mack, wellness professional; myself; Amy Perrin, Managing Director of Student Financial Services, who is the evaluation team's liaison to financial aid and the finance department. And then Dr. Gregory Robinson, Associate VP of Student Services and Development and the Dean of Students. These colleagues, this team of folks, has worked really, really hard over the last several months to make sure that evaluations are processed in a timely fashion and that we are dispersing funds to students as quickly as possible. The Student Success Fund evaluation process is a pretty in-depth process, but I'm going to highlight a few aspects of it for you. So when a student submits an application for funding, they will submit that directly through the Foundation application, and the Foundation will check for CARES Act eligibility with financial aid. Students who are CARES Act ineligible do qualify for the Student Success Fund. Those students who do have CARES Act eligibility can qualify for the Student Success Fund if their CARES Act funding is less than the cap on the Student Success Fund, and we can award the difference between those two amounts. Once the student has applied and been checked for eligibility, the Foundation will deploy those applications for evaluation. They will come to me, and then I will disperse them to evaluators within 1 business day. Student information is assigned to individual shared folder that the team shares on a network drive, and each evaluator has their own spreadsheet to track the evaluation process for each student. The evaluator will review the student application for funding and reach out to the student via email to obtain supporting documentation if needed, if the student hasn't submitted any supporting documentation with their request when they submitted their application, and explain the evaluation process. We will reach out to the student 3 times by phone and email to obtain the necessary documentation. Requests for Student Success Fund are capped at $750, but most of our students are requesting around $500, so the gap in financial need isn't huge. And so what we're seeing is a lot of students that just need minimal financial assistance in order to meet their educational goals. And so when we evaluate an application and we approve those funds, we know that it is going to help a student achieve their educational dreams. Once that documentation is received, every evaluator for every request will complete an evaluation form and a funding request form, which clearly outlines the student's financial need and why the award was approved for the amount that it was approved for. And then that request for funding is sent to the finance department for disbursement. Depending on the type of request that we receive from a student will dictate what type of supporting documentation we need and how the funds are awarded. So what I've done is I've broken down our requests that we receive into three main categories. We do see a lot of requests for tuition, fees, and books. And when we get this, we do ask the student to submit proof of course registration, a copy of their tuition bill, and then if they do need a book, a copy or a link to that book with price, preferably through the ECC bookstore. And then those funds are awarded through the financial aid process directly to the student's account. If a student needs housing or living expense assistance, such as a mortgage or rent or utility bill, we request a copy of that bill, the latest bill possible, a copy of their last pay stub if they lost their job or had a reduction in hours directly related to COVID. And then those funds are sent directly to the student through direct deposit or check. We do have quite a few students that have requested technology needs even after we've referred them to Chromebooks or hotspots, campus resources. And so if a student needs a computer or laptop to successfully access their online courses, we do request a copy or a link or a screenshot to the computer or laptop that the student would like to purchase, or a copy of their internet or mobile phone bill. And then those funds, similar to the housing expenses, are sent directly through direct deposit or check. A couple recent examples of successfully approved funding include a student who needed to get a background drug test as a requirement for a phlebotomy class, and the student had had a reduction in hours at their job and needed $83 to pay for this test in order to continue successfully in the course, and that was awarded and approved for the student. We've also seen students, we had one student who was enrolled for summer and fall and lost their job due to COVID. This particular student was supporting 5 family members in her immediate family, and the student's parents were also not working, and one of them suffered from a disability. And so the student needed financial assistance to pay for tuition and fees, and we awarded $750 for that student. And then we also had a student who was experiencing some pretty extreme financial hardship due to job loss and increased living expenses. And the student's family was struggling with basic necessities such as groceries and needed to have some funding assistance to purchase Wi-Fi to access online coursework, as well as some groceries. So we were able to assist that student with a total award of $234.99. So together we are helping these students meet their financial need and continue their education at ECC. The goals of the evaluation process are to make sure that we have very quick and streamlined process of communication with students, and that we have supporting documentation and evidence on file for all funding requests for audit purposes. We do follow up repeatedly with students via different modalities, whether it be email, phone, Zoom meetings, online virtual meetings, even text, once we've been able to connect with the student. And this has really been a collaborative and timely teamwork effort between the evaluation team, the foundation, the finance department, and the dean of students. And of course, the main goal of the evaluation process is to allow students to continue to meet their educational goals with financial assistance. So that is a very brief overview of the SSF evaluation process. My 2 colleagues, Vinny Cassio and Mary Grimm, will now be available to answer specific questions that you may have about the Student Success Fund, and they can also share their experience as evaluators. I do want to give a shout out to the evaluation team. They've been working really, really hard and very diligently over the last several months to streamline this process and make sure that we are responding as quickly as possible and processing these as quickly as possible to make sure our students are successful. If you'd like more information on the evaluation process or you have general questions, feel free to reach out to David Davin at the foundation, or you are free to reach out to me at lnielsen@elgin.edu. Thank you so much and have a great night.